Hey guys, welcome back to Parasych TV. I'm Max Powers, and today we're going to be talking about Area 51, the highly classified United States Air Force facility within the Nevada Test and Training Range, including stories, some historical data, and some classic, very strange YouTube videos. Now, I personally reached out to the Air Force to see if I could visit Area 51 for the purposes of researching this video, but they said no. Anyways, according to Wikipedia, the intense secrecy surrounding the base has made it the frequent subject of conspiracy theories and a central component in UFO folklore. It has never been declared a secret base, but all research and occurrences in Area 51 are top secret / sensitive compartmented information. The CIA publicly acknowledged the base's existence on June 25, 2013, following a Freedom of Information Act request filed in 2005. Area 51 is located in the southern portion of Nevada, 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. Just to get it out of the way, Area 51 is very real. It's probably the most classified top secret military base the public actually knows about, and the public was never supposed to know about it. Bob Lazar broke the story in the 80s, and we do know that the site was used to develop classified high-tech spy planes like the U-2, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the Bird of Prey. With all that being said, let's enter Area 51. Buckle up, because we're getting weird. But before the intro hits, I just want to ask you to like the video and hit... On September 11th, 1997, on the hugely popular paranormal talk show Coast to Coast AM, host Art Bell held an open-line segment specifically asking to receive calls from Area 51 employees. Little did he know, he was about to receive perhaps the most infamous call in the entirety of his show's history.
On my Area 51 line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art?
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharged.
As you can hear, the audio begins to cut out as Art was asking something about the caller's medical discharge, and seconds later, something incredible happens. Nationwide, the signal to the radio show vanished, as audiences heard dead air or backup local programs kicking in on their radios. Art Bell and crew presumably rushed behind the scenes to figure out what happened to the signal, before returning moments later with some ominous news. Halfway through the frantic call, the studio suffered a catastrophic satellite signal failure, a rare occurrence occurrence that the show had never experienced before, the signal loss seeming even more sinister after the caller mentioned that they would be triangulating his call any minute.
Well, this was certainly interesting. We are now on a backup system, everybody. A backup system. And that one caller that I had on the air, I guess we were about in the middle of his transmission, his telephone call, which was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. And the entire transmitting system by satellite went down here, and we were notified we were off the air. And it would appear to be from this end and some sort of massive transmit failure. So we are now using a backup system to be on the air. And not that I would normally believe this kind of thing, mind you, but I can't help but wonder if somebody zapped us in some way. We'll find out. Oh, well, what happened is the transmitter here blew its cookies in some way. Something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now. And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you guys missed. You really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah.
According to Art Bell himself, something knocked the signal off the air, and he felt as though someone didn't want anyone hearing what the caller had to say, whether it was a prank call or not. To analyze a couple things about the call. As for the general tone of the caller's voice, many people say they can hear the genuine fear, panic, and desperation in the caller's voice, but many also say he sounds like he could be acting. I have to add, if he is acting, he's not bad, and must have at the very least written some dialogue to go over, as he does make some distinct points and doesn't contradict himself in the short time he was on air. I find it fascinating that he mentioned that what the public considers to be aliens are actually interdimensional beings who are purposely misrepresenting themselves. This is interesting to me because nowadays that's a pretty common belief, as the idea of any being flying in a ship for millions of light years has become slightly antiquated due to the almost unimaginable spans of time it would take crafts to travel those distances. But at the time, in the 90s, that wasn't really in the zeitgeist as much as it is now. The caller claimed that massive worldwide catastrophe was coming, that the government not only knows about these catastrophes, but are choosing not to move people to viable safe areas on Earth because they want a massive percentage of the population to be wiped out, so that the remainder would be easier to control. This ties into a now very well-known theory found in a semi-censored book called The Adam and Eve Story by Chan Thomas. The book, which was part of a recently declassified CIA file, details what will happen when the Earth's poles suddenly flip, causing 1,000-mile-per-hour winds and 1,000-foot-tall walls of water and mud, basically wiping civilization as we know it off the face of the Earth. Magnetic pole shifts do happen, but we are told they happen observably slow over thousands of years, which would be better for you and I, and a more convenient life for a secret government that was set on surviving the apocalypse. Also interesting to think about the fact that the caller made these claims about massive catastrophes exactly 4 years before 9/11. The caller also made the claim that contact had been made with the beings by an earlier precursor to the space agencies, but more on that later. So, we have a frantic, desperate-sounding man claiming to be a recently laid-off employee of Area 51, who mentions he's on the run and that some group is after him, triangulating his signal, and then the radio station he's communicating with live gets knocked off the air for several minutes, only coming back on once they secured a backup broadcast signal. If the powers that be have the ability to accomplish this, which they most certainly do, how far would they go to cover it up, and what could they have done to the frantic caller? Well, nearly a year later, on April 28, 1998, the Area 51 employee allegedly called back.
All right. Everybody, I am the Area 51 caller. That's my statement, and let you or whatever tear it apart.
You claim you're the Area 51?
I am the man.
How do you account for the fact, Area 51 caller,
Okay.
that part of the way through your spiel, the satellite went down?
I have no idea, and it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me that night. I've called a number of times on your specialty line nights doing different, kind of wacky characters, and that's all that one was supposed to be. And if the call had been completed, it would have been ancient history by now.
Has it occurred to you, as Barbara Marks Hubbard suggested tonight, that perhaps if you're really what you say you are, you created the reality of the rest of the situation and took down my satellite.
That scares the heebie-jeebies out of me because it means that what I was saying was somehow correct, and it was fabrication kind of
creating a reality.
Yeah, if that was the case, I humbly apologize to you because I love your show, and the last thing I would ever want to do is
knock me off the air.
So what can I do to prove my claim here?
You could give us a little of what you gave us then so that we could hear it and know it to be you.
Are you sure you want me to do that, Art?
I'm positive.
Don't, Art, please. I don't want you to ask me to do this. If I start doing that guy,
You're right about that. Now, let's just take that little sample that you just gave us so that we don't alter some sort of hard little reality here at the end of the program, and we'll let the callers be the judge.
Okay.
All right?
Is this the Area 51 caller? The voices sound extremely similar, but couldn't any talented voice actor pull this off with almost a year of prep time? If not for the station being abruptly knocked off the air, by Art Bell's own admission, most likely by some kind of government intervention, I would 100% believe this was a hoax or a prank call. But even if it was a hoax, the station was knocked off the air, which Brian even admits badly scared him, making him think he had unwittingly uttered some hidden truths in his call.
I know a place that's peaceful and quiet, a place where animals play. It's called... Be extra careful, okay?
Where does this idea come from that Area 51 has something to do with aliens or alien tech? The idea seemed to surface when documents about a program called Project Aquarius leaked. The documents were allegedly prepared for a group called MJ-12 and detailed a program starting in 1972 to back engineer and pilot recovered alien crafts out of Area 51. The NSA confirmed that Project Aquarius existed, but denied it had anything to do with aliens, and denied to comment on what the project's goals were. And more recently, the whole MJ-12 thing was connected to a larger disinformation campaign along with the Roswell crash. In 1984, the US Air Force illegally seized almost 90,000 acres around Groom Lake in Nevada. Congressional hearings were held where one congressman, John Seiberling, grilled military officials about what legal authority the military had to seize the land. An Air Force official responded that the authority was much, much higher than the Air Force or government. Seiberling inquired what authority could supersede the United States government. The official said he could say, but only in an approved closed briefing, aka not on camera, not in court, and good luck getting in that briefing. And to further that point, although this is more conspiracy theorist lore at this point and has very little evidence to back it, apparently both Presidents Eisenhower and Nixon very aggressively pursued information about the activities taking place within Area 51, with Eisenhower's inquiries eventually leading to a rift between him and the military-industrial complex, after he threatened to utilize the 1st Army of Colorado to invade the region, leading to his infamous speech warning the American people about being led astray by the shadowy organization.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
This information was gathered by Jeremy Corbell and Richard Dolan during a deathbed confession being made by a former Q-clearance CIA agent who went by the pseudonym Agent Cooper. Nixon's inquiries allegedly led to the former president making veiled threats towards the CIA and NSA. He was repeatedly denied any information, and one night, while inebriated, he received a report again denying his request. In a fit of rage, he called the director of the CIA into the Oval Office and demanded to know why the commander of all armed forces couldn't be told about US military assets being developed or tested at Area 51, regardless of their origins. The story goes that the CIA CIA director told Nixon, "Some things are best left alone," and he didn't have a need to know about anything happening at Area 51. Henry Kissinger, national security advisor for Nixon, was sleeping at the time of this exchange, but was woke by a phone call and told Nixon wanted him in the Oval Office ASAP. When Kissinger arrived, he found a very angry Nixon and an oddly disinterested CIA director in the Oval Office. The CIA director said he didn't understand why Kissinger was there, as it wouldn't change his mind. Nixon, ignoring the CIA director's comment, asked Kissinger how the USSR would react if the USA would perform an above-ground test of the largest strategic nuclear weapon that the US had in their arsenal, near the old atomic test sites in Nevada, say just over Groom Lake, in the next hour. Apparently, Nixon was given a partial briefing and a warning, which then deterred him from ever pursuing knowledge about Area 51 again. The military's activities at Groom Lake and in the 90,000 surrounding acres remained extremely secretive until 1989, when Bob Lazar began leaking information about his work at S4, a site within Area 51, including his claim that experiments were being done to try to reverse engineer 9 different recovered UFOs. But Bob Lazar's claims and story were well known and could fill its own video. If you'd like to hear my take on it, comment something about Bob Lazar down below, and if I get 100 or more comments about it, I'll make that video. Even with major worldwide media coverage of Bob Lazar's claims, the military still denied that Area 51 existed, denied Bob's story, and seemed to have gone quite out of their way to deperson him, allegedly deleting his school and work records from existence. As I was researching and writing for this video, in particular the bit about the 90,000 acre land grab, its ensuing congressional hearing, and the Air Force official's comment about an authority that supersedes the United States government struck me as one of those slip of the mask moments, a sign that the grand conspiracy, or whatever you may call it, of a secret government controlling things from behind the curtain, pulling strings, using the trillions and trillions of taxpayer dollars to do as they wish with it. According to Edward Snowden, all the way back in 2012, by his estimate, the yearly US black budget, or money allocated to secret military operations, was over $50 billion per year, which is nearly $140 million per day. You can bet if that was an accurate figure, it's a lot more than that today, at least triple, if not quadruple, as inflation and taxes rise and wealth is transferred upwards at a greater pace than man has ever seen. So, where is all that money going? The congressman can't get a straight answer about what gives the military the right to take 90,000 acres of land. If the presidents are ready to wage war on the site and are still somehow deterred, what hope do the people have of ever knowing what's going on? 8 years ago, on August 25th, 2014, a YouTube channel called Martian Archaeology uploaded a video exposing photos pulled from Google Earth seeming to show an obelisk, pyramid, and Eye of Horus or Eye of Ra being constructed at Area 51. Though not all of the satellite pictures show the coordinates, comparing them to publicly available pictures of the surface of one site in Area 51 does confirm the sites match up. The first images show a massive black obelisk. The obelisk belongs to the early Egyptian creation story and represent the pillar that lifts the Ben stone out of the primordial water. Obelisks were usually placed side by side at temple entrances to represent the portal between the physical and non-physical universe, and later in the religious concepts as the entrance between the body and soul. The earliest obelisks were known as Ben stones. They were rough-hewn and truncated, but they were tipped off by the pyramid shape, which distinguishes obelisks from other monumental columns. The spirit of the sun god was supposed to enter the stones at certain periods, and on those occasions, human sacrifices were offered to it. One user on Reddit said, "The tower is actually a high-fidelity radar array that can track hummingbird-sized objects," but he spelled array wrong, so I don't know. He also claimed, "The pyramid-like structure is a special weapons bunker. It is an advanced Air Force base after all. The Eye of Horus is actually a maintenance building. The Eye of Horus and the Eye of Ra hold different meanings, but we constantly see the Eye of Providence, which is usually depicted like this, with a triangle surrounding it across all forms of media, money, and seems to be a very important symbol to those in control." When researching why one of the most secretive military locations in the world would be using this symbolism, I came across an interesting theory. The theory was about that precursor to the space agency that the frantic caller had been talking about. A few Redditors were tossing around the idea that this precursor was a mixture of occultism and hard science between Aleister Crowley and one of his very talented and committed proteges, Jet Propulsion Labs founder and the father of modern rocketry, Jack Parsons. Aleister Crowley was an English occultist, philosopher, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. He founded the religion of Thelema, identifying himself as the prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Aeon of Horus. In the early 20th century, he developed occult philosophies and practiced sex magic. Infamously, he and his followers referred to him as the Beast 666. The British tabloids called him the wickedest man in the world. In Egypt, on a trip around the world, he and his wife Rose took mind-altering drugs such as ether, and she told him the god Horus wanted to talk to him. He subsequently dictated what became the Book of the Law, the founding text of his Church of Thelema, which he believed was communicated through him by a superhuman being. In 1912, Crowley met the leader of the Ordo Templi Orientis, Order of the Temple of the East, or OTO, and soon controlled it. He started an abbey in Sicily, where his followers put his teachings into practice. Crowley became infamous during this time, as multiple people passed away on the grounds, and his wife told tabloids they were drinking blood. In January 1939, Jack Parsons, famed rocketry engineer and founder of both Jet Propulsion's laboratory and the Aerojet Engineering Corporation, was first introduced to OTO. Parsons would often jump ahead and perform rituals higher than his grade, quickly becoming Crowley's favored protege, and was believed by Crowley to have a real, natural gift for occult magic. The story goes that during Crowley's 1918 ritual, which he called Amalantra Working, in Central Park West, New York City, Crowley opened a portal between our dimension and another dimension with the intent to invoke certain intelligences into physical manifestation. One such entity that crossed over through this portal called itself Lam, which Crowley believed to be of interdimensional origin. Crowley described Lam in his book, The Way. Lam is the Tibetan word for way or path, and Lama is he who goeth, the specific title of the gods of Egypt, the treader of the path. In Buddhistic phraseology, its numerical value is 71, the number of this book. Interestingly, Crowley illustrated the being as looking frighteningly close to our modern depiction of the Greys that are described by many as being demonic in origin. It could be that our idea of extraterrestrials and demonic entities could all be some ancient interdimensional beings. Maybe it's not such a coincidence that the Lam entity was co-opted and fictionalized into Lovecraftian lore as the avatar of Nyarlathotep. Years later, between 1945 and 1946, Jack Parsons performed ritual after ritual for months during his own effort to conjure an interdimensional being, a practice which he referred to as Babylon working, using his own blood and other bodily fluids in order to then birth what he called a moon child. He chanted in the Enochian tongue, developed by 16th century alchemist John Dee, and drew pentagrams in the air. A few years before his death, Parsons had written to Crowley, "Babylon is incarnate on the earth today, awaiting the proper hour of her manifestation. And in that day, my work will be accomplished, and I will then be blown away upon the breath of the fire." On June 17th, 1952, Parsons' laboratory exploded, ending his life. Theorists claim that it was Parsons' rituals in 1948 who widened the tear in between dimensions, originally made by Crowley in 1918. It was soon after this that people worldwide began seeing Greys, and when the UFO phenomenon really took hold. It's interesting that Crowley and Parsons saw these entities as interdimensional, and that's also how the Area 51 caller described them. For the most part, people seem to think that Area 51 is just a pop culture iconic location, the reality of its secrecy diminished by movies and meme culture, like the Storm Area 51 movement. But every once in a while, something happens that reminds people that it's still very secretive and very serious about keeping those secrets. On November 15th, 2022, federal agents raided the homes of Jorg Arnu, a Nevada man who operates a website focusing on the remote, formerly top-secret U.S. military base, Area 51. During the raid, which was conducted by dozens of agents in tactical gear, armed with rifles, Arnu was told only that the search was related to images posted on his Area 51 site. Lieutenant Colonel Brian McGarry, Public Affairs Chief at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, said he was aware that Arnu's properties had been searched by FBI and Air Force Office of Special Investigation agents, but neither the FBI press official nor the Air Force OSI responded to press inquiries about the validity of the raid. Arnu said that since 1999, he has owned and operated his internet site, subtitled Secrets of Area 51 Revealed, describing the site as a collection of YouTube videos taken from drones flown around Area 51, satellite images of the base, a discussion forum, and articles about UFOs, test flights, and mysterious black projects. Agents confiscated laptops, phones, backup drives, camera gear, and my drone, and caused thousands of dollars worth of damage to my homes. He continued, I believe the search, executed with completely unnecessary force by overzealous government agents, was meant as a message to silence the Area 51 research community. I feel for Jorg losing all of his electronics and the terror and violating feeling of having mysterious federal agents crash into your house, but if you build your career around trying to film a highly classified military installation, this is going to happen eventually, right? The most interesting thing about this story, in my opinion, is that Jorg seems genuinely uncertain just what images, videos, or information he gathered may be responsible for the raid, meaning he may have captured something on video without even knowing about it. One of the strangest things I've ever seen regarding Area 51 is a classic YouTube clip. It seems to be shot around 2007. I couldn't find the original poster anywhere, only a repost from 2016 on the channel Whatever Whenever. The video documents a few friends on their journey through the Nevada desert, making their way to the gate of Area 51. This gate isn't really a gate at all, just a restricted area sign that lets any would-be trespassers know they could be unalived for crossing into this area. Along their journey, they come across two elderly women flagging their car down about 6 miles into the middle of nowhere. The following interaction is bizarre.
How you doing?
You guys need help?
Lost. You're lost?
Where are you all going?
Just going straight down this
Straight
way.
down there.
And what's up that way?
Sure.
We don't know.
Because we've been around looking for the gate.
Go that way and you'll get right to the highway.
Wait, what gate?
The gate that lets you in.
To what?
The gate by the security gate.
That way then.
Yeah.
I'm not going back. It's too far.
Yeah, it's 13 miles.
Yeah,
From here it's 7 miles.
because we're staying over at Rachel.
Right. That's
Rachel
where we
is
just
that
came
way.
From.
Yeah,
So
that's
go
where,
back
yeah.
to go straight back down this way. You'll hit 375, make a left to Rachel. It's a
Yeah.
sharp left. You guys really got lost?
Yeah, well, we've been up and down.
Really?
We got
Okay.
a map, too.
No, go straight back this way. It'll run into the highway. Make a left on the highway.
Yeah.
That'll run you right into Rachel.
Okay, we were looking for the gate to get in. That they said we were going to take pictures.
That's straight ahead. That's where we're going. You mean the Area 51
Yeah, right,
gate?
right.
It's this way, 7 miles.
Is that all?
You want to follow us?
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna
I
be.
don't- I'm
It's gonna be
worried about-
spooky. Hey, listen. When I slow, you're not going to be able to see me because I'm going to put out a dust plume.
We'll follow the dust bunny.
No, you need to get way back.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go. We're about 7 miles.
7 miles.
Yeah, and don't go past my car or else they're going to come get you.
They'll get you. Put you in that jail.
Did you film that?
The women claim they are lost before immediately asking the men where they're going and saying they're looking for the gate that lets you in. And just a few seconds later saying they're staying in Rachel. The guys filming, probably assuming it's not the best idea for these two ladies to be driving on their own out in the desert, give them simple, exact directions to get back to where they're staying. But the women seem disinterested in those directions. I find the interaction to be so strange. It feels more like the woman grasping the window is trying to figure out what the guys in the car are doing out there. And almost immediately, as they pull away from the women's car, they see one of the infamous white trucks that guard the area.
Fast. Oh. stupid, man. Oh my god. They're going right through.
They're going through.
Did they pass it? No, they stopped.
No, I don't think they did. They did not. They did. They went through.
They did.
They just went through. They just went through the gate, guys.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They are so screwed. I'm turning around and getting out.
Truck's coming after.
Is the truck coming?
There he is. Stop.
Stop. You gotta get this. We're gonna miss some alright footage. Those guys, listen, these guys just went through the Area 51 sign.
We're turning around right here. I'm not messing with this. You guys take your shots and we're leaving. We're gonna let them deal with them. Those ladies are screwed. Take your pictures. Hop on, please. They didn't stop? They didn't stop. They're still going.
They're still going. That guy is speeding fast.
Okay.
Holy. Holy. They went fast. Holy crap. Everyone be quiet.
Interestingly, before the women get back in their car, the driver tells them to be careful while following him, as his car would be impossible to see because of the dust cloud, and a collision would be very probable if they didn't follow from a distance. But just as the men start to get close to the trespassing sign, the women tear past them on the narrow desert road and drive straight into the restricted zone, soon after being followed by the guard truck. The men then sit further back from the restricted zone for a while, and the women never come back out. Now there's obvious theories like it being a hoax or a stunt for the video, but I don't know very many elderly ladies willing to risk their lives for a stunt. If it was a scripted hoax, the creators would need at least 4 to 6 actors, 3 cars, and film in the middle of nowhere with an absolutely terrible digital camera. It could be a hoax with hopes of getting a lot of attention for a spooky video, but they would need at least 4 to 6 actors, 3 cars, and be able to film in a hostile desert location, which you could do with a budget, but I don't think they would use a terrible digital camera if that were the case. Then there's the theory that the women became frustrated and drove past the men, not realizing they drove directly past the sign they were looking for. But the most interesting and creepy theory is that these women were some kind of agents or guards, trying to suss out what the boys in the car were doing and how sophisticated their camera equipment may be. As far as I can tell, the footage, although completely grainy and terrible quality, is genuine. So what do you think is really going on at Area 51? Many people claim that even if there used to be some big secret hidden out there, it's long gone by now due to the public knowledge about the base. But I think that's a bit of a stretch, as the base is still completely off limits to the public and most of the government, and is still heavily secured and protected. In my opinion, what we see on the surface land of Groom Lake probably accounts for like 10 or 15% of the actual facility, with much of it probably being deep underground. So do you believe they're jealously guarding some kind of alien being or alien tech? Or just protecting the development of new man-made weapons of war? Thank you so much for watching the video. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and hit the bell notification, as the early performance of a video is massively important. Please smash the like button if you liked the video, or you can hit the dislike button if you didn't like it, but please hit the like button. I prefer you hit the like button. Once again, comment down below what you think about Area 51, and feel free to comment any topics you'd like to see covered on the channel. I'll be back again very soon with a new video covering the topic of